and sound. Lift me up, hold me down, keep me close, safe and sound. Drowning in an endless sea, take some time and stay with me. Keep me in the strength of your arms. Keep me safe, safe and sound. Lift me up, hold me down, keep me close, safe and sound. Burning in a hopeless dream, hold me when you go to sleep. Keep me safe. We need light, we need love. Lift me up in your arms. Hold me down. Keep me close. Hold me, safe and sound. Hold me, hold me. Lift me up. Hold me down. Hold me. Keep me safe. We need light. We need love.
Good afternoon, faculty, staff, students, and guests. I am Quantez Lewis from Byram, Mississippi. I am a 15-year-old student at the Piney Woods School. First, I would like to thank Taylor, Michaela, and Chandrell for the outstanding rendition of Lift Me Up by Rihanna. We are so grateful. We are so grateful for all of you attending and watching our program, Speak Truth to Power. Speak Truth to Power is using your voice to defend human rights, using your voice to empower those around you, and using your voice to teach lessons, which is derived from oral tradition and West African culture. Speak Truth to Power is not only done by those we see on TV screens and news headlines, but also by hidden figures that are not shown to protect our identities. We invite you to experience Speak Truth to Power not only through our own voices, but through sound, dance, and call. May you please join us in our Negro National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing.
I was born April 1st, 1961 in Kadoro, Zaire, modern-day Democratic Republic of the Congo. Human rights are rooted in my life. It's been said of me that I was a kind child. Despite the fact that pygmies were viewed as animals in my community, I made friends with them. I brought them clothes, sliced bread with them, and brought them to our house. I had even told them my biggest secret, that I wanted to become a priest. Although it shocked the people around me, I considered the pygmies to be my friends, just as anyone else. I received my diploma just as the political system started to become more open due to widespread anger in Mobutu. The time was right to start a human rights organization and participate in public affairs. First, we recruited activists from our 2 university organizations. Our founders were old friends. We trusted each other and we knew each other. We called ourselves ASA DHO. We set out to investigate and document human rights abuses, play a key role in society, and maintain independence from all political parties. The organization was national, drawing together people from all different regions. We began working with lawyers, journalists, and physicians, each group trying to promote human rights using their own expertise. After obtaining a master's degree abroad, I returned from exile, continued my work, and told Mobutu I wanted to change things. However, in 1997, during a rebellion that was led by Mobutu against Kabila, ASA DHO denounced the slaughter and extermination of Hutu refugees by Rwandese troops. In this context, I was threatened, not only by Mobutu, but also by Kabila. They said I was opposing the war of liberation, and they threatened to tear me to pieces if they found me. This is what made me decide to leave my homeland for good. Although I didn't get the chance to become a priest as I had wanted, with human rights, I created and found a new vocation. It's all the same, trying to give a voice to the voiceless. Courage is conviction. Courage is your commitment to something. All you have to do is believe in yourself and do what's right. I am Gulami Ngafa Antindoko.
I had to do something that would change my whole world. I escaped several times from a shrine in Ghana. Once to my parents who were afraid to keep me, once to a man who fed me, then impregnated me by force. The priest found out and sent young men around the village to capture me. They beat me black and blue. I escaped again, and I was raped and starved. I did everything I could to survive, but the priest just kept finding me. And each time, there was pain inflicted upon me. One day, a man came from International Needs Ghana. I still have no idea where my sudden confidence and fight came from. I escaped again. One child strapped to my back and the other carried in my hands. The organization taught me skills of life because I knew there were other women who remained trapped at the shrine. I decided to take charge and address the issue. I spoke to the inmates and told them they had to gain confidence and escape like I once had. But because the shrine claimed power it did not have, the women feared them. And I knew how they felt to be raped, beaten, starved, and repeated. I educate and advocate for the practice to end in the shrine. What I do is dangerous, but their letters and open threats don't scare me anymore. I have never been in a classroom, and I never had school. I had deadbeat parents who threw me away to the shrine in the first place, but that does not stop me from doing what is right. I am prepared to die for a good cause. This was my purpose. I am Juliana Dogbazzi.
I am woman. Born April 1st in Ethi, Kenya, I became a social, environmental, and political activist. I'm the first African woman to win the Nobel Peace Prize. But what encouraged me to do this? See, throughout Africa, women hold a primary responsibility for what foods to plant, harvesting the food, as well as taking care of the fields. We are the first to realize the environmental damage that harms our agriculture. If wells go dry, we're the ones to walk miles on this hot, rough ground without shoes to find water. We are the first to realize when the food we feed our families has been tainted with pollutants. We are the ones to take care of the sick. So I founded the Green Belt Movement. and encouraged other farmers, mostly who are women of course, to plant green belts, which prevent soil erosion, provide shade, and a source of lumber and firewood. Today, the Green Belt movement has planted over 15 million trees and has expanded over 30 African countries, the United States and Haiti, and has provided a source of income for over 80,000 people in Kenya alone. But even through my hard work and recognition, problems still came into play. See, when I spoke against the Kenyan president, Daniel Arap Moi, to build 62-story skyscrapers in Nairobi's largest park, they tried to silence me. When I refused, I was subjected to harassment campaign and threatened. My women of my organization were denounced as a bunch of divorcees. My sexual past was questioned. I was detained and interrogated without any knowing as to why. So I paused for a few years. But my will was never broken because I returned to that park, and myself and other women protesters were beaten. They even threatened to mutilate my genitals so that I would behave like a woman should. But I didn't care because I am Wangari Mutu Mutai, environmental, women's rights, and democratic reform activist.
I am known by many as the Ark. However, I was not assigned this name at birth. My real name means Gracious Defender of Life, born October 7, 1931. Known by most for winning the 1984 Nobel Peace Prize for my efforts in resolving and ending apartheid. But my story is rooted deeper than being a peacemaker or an activist. My life has not always been filled with wealth or praise. Many will recognize my family as poor. I would say, although we were not affluent, we were not destitute either. From adolescence, I had always known what my destiny consisted of. However, fear overtook me for a long time. I like to call myself the forgiver. But forgiving doesn't mean turning yourself into a doormat to allow others to wipe their boots on. Our Lord was very forgiving. But he faced up to those who he thought were self-righteous and who were behaving in a ghastly fashion. Many of those who have suffered most grievously in South Africa have been ready to forgive. People who you might have thought would be consumed by bitterness, by a lust for revenge. I have received death threats, but that was expected. If you choose to be a part of a struggle, you must expect to be a target. Usually, if you want peace, you don't talk to your friends. You talk to your enemies. All my life, I struggled to do right by others because it was only a dream for others to do right by me. I did what I had to do. Anything else would have tasted like ashes. It would have been living a lie. I could have been a part of a struggle in a less prominent position. When it comes to inequality, I live by a quote I made myself. I am not interested in picking up the crumbs of compassion thrown from the table of someone who considers himself my master. Instead, I want the full menu of rights. Sometimes you must face challenges many cannot bear to speak upon to bring light to the darkest room. Always remember to do your little bits of good where you are. It's those little bits of good that overwhelm the world. My name is Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and this is my story. We are human rights defenders.
Our student body here at Piney Woods is very diverse. We have students from Rwanda, Ethiopia, South Africa, Brazil, the Virgin Islands, and the United States. In this section of our program, we will have our dancers heavily influenced by African culture to show that we not only use our words to speak, but we also use dance.
سوريا مستلفخي عبيتي خط عملكي عبيتي عبيتو شقي خام مغي زواب الغمغي زواب لي عبتو شقي خام مغي زواب الصغرغي زواب لي عبت زوابل 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 الزوابل زوابل زوابل عت بري 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 ولا لا على ما يبقى غير خيبة أنا ما عت بري بري نايزال بيبانا مساخ من بارس وانا يا ولا زوابل 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 الزوابل الليل الزوابل زوابل الزوابل الليل زواب اليوم بيتي عتزغ الله الباسو يغون قام زواب اليوم قلب الجيوس قام عتزغ الله تفشل زان بيتي زواب اليوم عبد الزوال بري 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 ولا لا على ما يبقى أخير خيبة أنا ما أنت بري بري نايزال بيبانا
Greetings, friends. It is an honor to be standing here as the Dalai Lama. My journey has been one filled with both struggles and triumphs. But it is through these experiences that I am able to truly understand the meaning of compassion and love. And I am here to teach you this lesson today. I was only 2 years old when I was officially recognized as the reincarnation of the previous Dalai Lama. Indeed, a heavy burden to place upon a child. But luckily for me, I was not alone. I was surrounded with the love and support of my friends, my family, my teachers, and most important of all, the Tibetan people. This support has been more than valuable for me, for it has helped shape me into the person I am today. When it comes to peace, I believe that true peace can only be achieved through inner peace. What do you mean by that, you might say? Well, we cannot simply strive for peace within nations and communities and hope everything works out. We must first strive for peace within our hearts and our minds. For true peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. That's why I emphasize the importance of compassion. One of my favorite teachers always used to say, one of the greatest gifts is the gift of compassion. And I try my best to teach this lesson to my students as well. I am a strong advocate of the protection of the human rights of the Tibetan people. I am a strong advocate of the preservation of our cultures and traditions, for it is our cultures and traditions that make us, us. I'm honored to say I've won numerous awards such as the Nobel Prize of 1989. But mind you, my friends, it is not for personal recognition that I do my work for, yet it is the peace and tranquility of my people. For more than 60 years, my people have faced the persecution and oppression of the Chinese government. I was forced into exile, away from my homeland, away from my people and family. But amid such adversity, I remained steadfast to my commitment to peace and nonviolence. People thought I was crazy because I didn't retaliate the way they thought I would. But mind you, peace is not the absence of conflict. Instead, it is the ability to navigate it with grace. It is through these struggles that we are able to learn, that we are able to grow. It is through these struggles that we are able to develop the inner strength and wisdom to make a positive impact upon the world. That's why I say, let's work together for a brighter future, a future filled with love, with joy, and compassion. I am the Dalai Lama. Namaste.
Born April 23rd, 1951, in a very poor family in El Salvador. I grew up in an abusive household with a father incapable of loving his daughter due to his different relations with women. He would abuse my mother. She began to grow tired of being abused, and we left my father for me to live with my grandmother in El Zaco. Later, my grandmother passed away from a heart attack. I was crushed. She was the only person to ever care for me. She did everything for me, even if it was sacrificing herself for me. I joined the organization of women formed in 1977 to fight for the release of husbands or family members who've been jailed, assassinated, or disappeared, and to demand that the government respect human rights. I had no political experience when joining Comadres, but had a rude awakening when my husband was imprisoned for being a union activist and later brutally killed by armed forces, who bound his hands and his feet and put a bullet hole through his head. The women in Comadres followed the philosophy that regarded exploitation and poverty as sin. We worked closely with priests and nuns to confront the Salvadorian military to make a change in the inequalities in Salvadorian society in the late 1960s. My association with Comadres became a nightmare coming to life, with the countless threats, tortures, and kidnappings of the members and comadres and their family members. I myself encountered many life or death situations. May 6, 1986, I was at a bus stop. I was grabbed and a pistol was pressed to my side. For the next 3 days, I was beaten and raped by the 3 men and interrogated about who I was, what was I doing in the neighborhood, and if I knew anyone from Comadres. They gave me no food to only a little water. And later they started to carve my belly with a knife. They told me I would die. After those 3 days, I was put in a car, hands tied and eyes blindfolded with a gun to my head, till I was dropped off at a park. My clothes were torn, I was bleeding and distorted. I was relieved, but I was still in shock about what had happened to me. I was 7 months pregnant when I had this experience, and always in fear, looking over my shoulder of being kidnapped again, raped, or tortured. I am Maria Teresa Tula, a human rights activist of South America.
Most families in Sudan are headed by women, even my own. My mother worked with many organizations, Girl Guides, First Aid, Charity, and even church groups. My father was a doctor, and my grandfather was a farmer. I feel very tied to my country, and the atmosphere my parents created for me contributes to the work that I do for my community today. My people are suffering. The Sudanese administration are bombing, burning, and raiding our villages. They are enslaving thousands of my people and transporting them like stolen goods to concentration camps who had the name peace, but were far from peaceful. The government made sure that those who did not believe in its policies were marginalized. But my group and I had an education, and I believe we should use our education to help those who are suffering from those governmental policies. We began by raising public awareness around the governmental organized mass marriages. The government believed that promoting marriage would enhance the impression of being a good Muslim. So they staged festivals where they gathered couples and they bribed them to further this false notion, being a good Muslim. So women have a very inconvenient situation in Sudan. Women get their basic rights taken away from them by the administration. Women have to wear ankle-length dresses, cover their heads, and even enter polygamous relationships to give the husband more freedom. Sudan is aware that this government takes over its people. Help me and my people be handed the greatness we deserve. National publication can do just that. CNN, BBC, news articles, even newspapers. Help us be handed the greatness and respect that we deserve. My name remains a mystery, not because of fear or circumstance. My name remains a mystery because I want the work I do to speak for who I am. A name does not make me who I am, who I will become. When I lost my job in 1989 due to the political setting in Sudan, I became anonymous, Sudanese human rights defender.
I was blessed to be challenged to have a life worth living, to have a life that never lacked purpose. I remember taking my first case as a lawyer in Mississippi. I was terrified. None of the white male lawyers spoke to me, let alone acknowledge me. It didn't bother me though, because I was a woman on a mission. Seeing my people being arrested, attacked by dogs and chased, fighting for the rights of our people was hard. I decided then and there that it was my turn to join the fight. I fought so hard I founded the largest Head Start program in the country. Marching behind the miraculous Martin Luther King Jr. in the Poor People's March was exhilarating. Such a young man who would go on to make changes that would live long after his life. And the thing is, he always said he never knew what he was going to do next. I was blessed to become the policy director of the Poor People's Campaign after his death, to continue the work and the dream of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Courage, that's what he represents. That is what we represent. I remember going down to the schoolhouse the day after Dr. King's assassination. I told those young children not to riot or be violent, that in doing so, it would ruin the future that would be oh so bright for them. There was one little boy who looked me dead in my eyes and said, "Lady, what future?" I have tried for the last 50-something years to prove that little boy wrong. Funding the Children's Defense Fund with the mission of leaving no child behind and ensuring every child a healthy start, a head start, a safe start, a fair start, and a moral start in life was my life's purpose. We often forget that service is the rent we pay to be living. It is the very purpose of life and not something you do in your spare time. My acts of service were committed to the children of the future. Our children need to be able to see the future and the part that they hold in it. That starts with us, here, now. If you give away your children, then you give away your soul, which is giving away your future. And one thing we never do is give up. There comes a point in life when you have to look around and you have to decide that this is not what life is about. It is not what God meant for you, and you have to change things. And if that means dying, that's fine. I am Marion Wright Edelman, and I know what God meant for me.
We are human rights defenders.
How many of you have watched Harriet, starring Cynthia Erivo? Well, in the movie, Harriet was concussed while being whipped. Now, her relationship with God was great, but the power that surged through her after was far greater because her faith and her prayers never wavered. Now, when Harriet started rescuing slaves and working with the Underground Railroad, she had these things called sleeping spells. Now, looking from an outsider's point of view in, you would think she was crazy. As a slave, they're on the run. There are white men chasing them on horses. There are hounds after them. They have guns. They thought they were going to die. Now, what they didn't know was that during these sleeping spells Harriet had, God was speaking to her. He was showing her the path, and he was showing her how far the enemy was from them. Prayer, ladies and gentlemen, is a powerful thing, something our ancestors used to their full advantage, God-fearing and resilient. Remember this, God doesn't give the toughest battles to his toughest soldiers. He creates his toughest soldiers out of life's toughest battles. Now, we will have When I Pray by the Cotton Blossom Singers, led by Tamaya Adams.
All I know is something happens when I walking the road, how would I know which way to go? I feel so alone, and life is so, so cold. Oh, I'm not very eloquent in speech. I don't always know how to sound holy when I speak. Mama told me something happens when I pray. I know I can reach you when I pray, when I call your name. Never, never too busy when I pray. I know I can reach you when I call your name. You're never too busy for me. I know you will never leave me dry. It's not in your nature to turn away when the humble pray. When I cry, I know you will never leave me empty. It's not in your nature to turn away when the humble, when I pray. I know I can reach you when I call your name. Never, never too busy.
Late 50s and early 60s, Jackson, Mississippi. Growing up in Decatur, Mississippi was hard. It was. When I was 12, I seen the clothes of a young black man after he was lynched, laying on my front lawn. That young man was my friend. Growing up in these bigger streets, my mom did a good job raising me and my siblings, Charles, Elizabeth, Ruth, and Neva. I was dealing with so much I had to drop out of high school. I joined the Army during World War II with the Muir boys, and after a couple years, I earned my honorable discharge. I took a small job selling insurance down in Mound Bayou, Mississippi, and I seen something shocking. How so many of my people were falling victim to poverty in rural Mississippi. So, something deep down inside me told me I had to fight. I was fighting. I was like Muhammad Ali. I ain't know what I was fighting, but I was fighting. I applied to the University of Mississippi Law School. My application was denied, but I then realized segregation and discrimination were the biggest issues the United States were facing. I sought out leadership. I joined the NAACP as Mississippi's first field office secretary, and I moved to Jackson, Mississippi, to set up the first field office. The first couple of months were slow, of course, but after a while, we started gaining some traction. So much so that I played a pivotal role in the admission of James Meredith into the University of Mississippi. It took 30,000 military soldiers to escort one man to his classes. That's a lot of soldiers. Now, they couldn't handle these guns, but that's a lot of soldiers. And after a while, the wheels started rolling. I was doing prayer vigils, marches, campaigns. I promoted these little bumper stickers. They said, don't buy gas where you can't use the restroom. Don't buy gas where you can't use the restroom. Because maybe some Negroes forgot. I know I forgot. I just be needing gas. You know, these gas prices, they're going up and down. Matter of fact, I did what most people are scared to talk about. Negroes didn't even want to mention his name. I launched an investigation into Emmett Till's lynching. I was basically a walking target amongst white supremacists. 7 times they tried to kill me, but I still sought out my purpose. I still persevered. I still pursued the calling that the Lord had on my life. The NAACP, we promoting church right now. They say Jim Crow must go. And it's all to help fight against these laws that they're making against us. I am Medgar Wiley Evers.
I come from scratched up nails, from rusted up knees, from aching feet. I was born in 1916 on the 6th of October in Montgomery County, Mississippi. We worked for W.D. Marlowe's plantation, and I started picking cotton when I was 6 years old. My mama had 20 children, and I was the 20th. Letting my family down was not an option. My parents began to age. They weren't working their best in the plantation, so I was 12 and in the 6th grade when I left school back to work because, again, letting my family down was not an option. I found some light in working on that plantation in 1944 when I married a man. I called him Pal, or if we being fancy, Perry Hammer. As I grew older, spending all of my days working on that plantation became tiring. And I don't mean no physical exhaustion. I mean waking up working for white America every morning with no personal benefits. I went to the doctor to have a uterine tumor removed. Now, of course, there wasn't no black doctors at the time, so instead I received a hysterectomy. But when you're a powerful woman, a rights-driven woman, in my time, white people want to make sure you don't keep bringing up those types of women. It was in 1962, the 31st of August, that 18 of us traveled 26 miles to the county courthouse in Indianola. Now, when I got there to the county courthouse, I was one of the first persons to complete, as far as I knew how to complete, all my registration form. Now, when I got back to Ruleville, where I had been working as a sharecropper and a timekeeper for 18 years, I was already fired. Mister, I say, I did not register for you. I say I was trying to register for myself. He said, well, we're not ready for that in Mississippi. He wasn't ready, but I had been ready for a long time. Me and fellow black women sat in a whites-only restaurant and were arrested. Not only were we arrested, but we were also beaten while in the jailhouse. Now, they put a blood clot in my eye, but I continued to see the way to freedom. They damaged my leg. I said they damaged my leg, and I still walked in my purpose. Now, the question I raise, is this America? America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, where people are being murdered, lynched, and killed because we want to register and vote? All my life, I've been sick and tired of being sick and tired. Now, the next year, I announced my candidacy for the Mississippi House of Representatives. But I was took off of that ballot. I said I was took off of that ballot. At that point, I was kind of like a Mississippi summer myself, returning every single year, stronger than the last. Because the next year, I became one of the first black women to stand in the U.S. Congress. I then began to advocate for black farmers. I started a pig bank, the Freedom Farm Cooperative, and supplied the black community with houses, boutiques, and coop stores. I was nearing the end of my road. In 1977, I died of breast cancer when I was 59. I left the world knowing that I had led by example. I left my mark. My mark explains to keep pushing, because ain't nobody free until we all free. I am Miss Fannie Lou Hamer.
Now, some have known me as a modern Booker T. Washington. An activist, maybe, or an educator. Come here. But do you know how I got there? Let us start from the beginning. Born November 21st in 1882, St. Jones, Missouri, into a family of educators, which would influence the path I chose to walk. In my youth, I worked hard to put myself through high school. I mean, by the time I got to school in the morning, I had already completed a half day's work. Must have paid off since I eventually became the first black person to ever graduate from Marshalltown High School. An achievement within itself, but I had other plans that were yet to be recognized. After attending the University of Iowa and graduating in 1909, once again, as the first black person ever to do so, a purpose came to me in the form of a small boy. That autumn day in 1909, under a single cedar tree, sitting on a pine log with $1.65 and a Bible kept handy, a small boy came to me out of the woods of Mississippi with curiosity and a need for knowledge. You see, many people of our tone weren't even allowed access to a quality education, if any. Shameful within its own right, but to make matters worse was finding out that Rankin County, Mississippi, where I had chosen to preside, had an 80% illiteracy rate. So, when more and more children came seeking knowledge, I took it upon myself to create a school, now known as the Piney Wood School. The Piney Wood School, okay? A school that would eventually become my entire heart and soul, and a place where I can help others take a stride forward in life. It was a good ideology. A great ideology even. But of course, there were trials, there were tribulations, difficult times. There was even a little incident involving a lynching. Oh, they wanted to lynch me, all right. I mean, I was a guest speaker at a church. They saw me giving a speech to a bunch of little black kids, a speech to a bunch of little black kids. And they decided I was no good. They gave me a couple last words before I was lynched, but I talked about my school and students. I poured my entire heart and soul out to this all-white mob that wanted to lynch me and discourage us all, this all-white mob that wouldn't care anything about these little black kids, this all-white mob that would take a life and would do so without remorse. This all-white mob wanted me gone that day. And they donated. I mean, every single person in the mob that day ended up donating something to my school. The lynching that turned into a fundraiser, it would be called. My greatest weapon in life, as it turned out, was my intelligence. Helping myself out of situations that could harm me, and helping my students into situations that could help them. My words allowed for most of it. Finding ways to help anyone understand the struggle that runs through our black blood here in the South, even when they didn't think they could ever find a way to care. This work continuing even after my beautiful, beloved wife, Grace, died from pneumonia in 1929. She devoted her entire life to the next generation with me, teaching and helping best she could, no matter how hard it got for our people here in the South. But this didn't set me back, no. Because making sure our kids got the education they always deserved is my life's work. And it is everything I lived and died for. Because I am Dr. Lawrence Clifton Jones. And I am the little professor of Piney Woods. We are human rights defenders.
Dr. Lawrence C. Jones just recalled his personal experience of almost being lynched. Black people continue to be killed today. Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland, George Floyd, and this year, just north of where we're gathered today in Memphis, Tennessee, we saw the killing of Tyre Nichols. One commentator reflects on the murder of Tyre Nichols, saying this:
"It's not fair. Controlling power, that's what they want us to know. To have it tattooed in our brains so our day will never peacefully flow. How does it become something our own people have gone this slow? It's not fair. All he wanted to do was go home, but it's that his body was physically thrown. Nothing but fear shaking throughout all his bones. His life flashing before his eyes as he was taken with only nothing but begging for desperation. It's not fair. Cursed at, beaten, killed. Cursed at, beaten, killed. Cursed at, beaten, killed. It's not fair. We are not only being seen as non-existent, but that there is a drive for our extinction. Nobody wanting to see us as human, but already creating their own prediction for who we are and what we stand for. They never bother to open their minds. Instead, they choose to ignore. It's not fair. They choose to ignore what is happening time and time, again and again. I'm tired of people's lives being treated like some trend. I'm tired of seeing another family crying. We are literally running, screaming, yelling, dying, shouting out. It's not fair. But they seem to have us on mute. No matter what we do, they want to appropriate, do nothing but take from our culture. But when we want to be seen, they become invisible and we become the monsters. Can you hear me? It's not fair. I will say it with my whole chest and I will not rest until everyone has heard me. It is not fair. It is not fair. I will say it again and again because I do not care. Like I said before, it's not fair.
How will you speak truth to power?
African Americans have survived the Middle Passage in the horrors of slavery. We overcame apartheid in Africa, and we persevered despite discrimination throughout the whole globe, and Jim Crow here in Mississippi. Because we are royalty. Our ancestors are kings and queens, so yes, we are royalty.
Trapped in poverty, generations of injustice, inequality, ancestors changed the world, though they came in chains. In you the strength it holds lives and still remains. You're mighty and majestic, descendants of kings and queens, royal blood flows through your veins, children of the dream. No, you can take it, no doubt about it, you're gonna make it. You're royalty. Got a message from above, you ain't no love, you're royalty. Brother, you're a king, sister, you're a queen, children of the dream. If you've never been told, it's time for you to know you're royalty. Every hour, stand up tall with pride and power. What people say about you, never ever doubt you. Keep pushing, give it all you got. Don't stop until you reach the top. Keep reaching, no matter what. I know you can take it, no doubt about it. You're gonna make it.
Here for you and I. Got this message I'm spreading the most high. Head high, I shine like my father smile. Down upon our kings and queens of our times. Blessings of every color, original king ruler. Slave that made way, metaphorically King Kunta. Eyes on the prize, my pride won't collide. And my right hand go eyes if I stand my mind.
If you've never been told, it's time for you to know.
Well, how about that? I said, how about that? Come on, you all can do better than that. Come on and celebrate these young people. Oh my God. We are super excited. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful job. Wonderful job, young people. I stand here to say thank you to all those who have made this opportunity possible. I'm just overwhelmed because we didn't have to do anything. We just sat down and let them have it. And didn't they do a wonderful job on this afternoon? We're just, again, excited to have all of you here. Let me first thank some special folks we have in the room. This, from the idea stage to sponsorship, was only made possible because of support from our friends at Fund 2 Foundation, and I see Linda Wilson and all of her team is here, and want to say thank you to them for making this possible. Come on, you all can do better. They're the ones who made this possible. Now, let me give credit where credit is due, because I just came around what was happening here on like Sunday, and I walked in and I started saying, is this right? Is that right? Is this right? Is that right? But for the last, 2-3 months, there's an individual who's been working with these young people day and night, night and day, weekends, and really pushing them to show leadership. I have the honor of sharing a home with her. I have the honor of having shared life with her for the last 28 years, 25 of them married. I'm going to ask Monica Crossley to come and stand with me. Come on, you all. I wasn't doing anything. She was out here in the day and in the night and overnight. And I know she is so totally excited for what she's seen the young people do on tonight. We've got a couple of young people going to bring. One's going to bring you. We want to just celebrate you, Ms. Crossley, for what you have done, and even on behalf of this camera crew and sound crew, they brought you a little gift, some African earrings, and so then she had a little partner in crime, and I'm gonna ask her to come up here and join us too. She don't know I'm about to call her up here, but Dr. Renee Tillman, would you come up? You know, we've been doing some of everything. We're actually this year we're going through our reaccreditation from our accrediting body, and so Dr. Tillman and I will be working at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning on emails and trading documents, and then next morning she'd be back up here supporting Ms. Crossley to try and get this program underway. But it wasn't just these two people. I want all of the faculty and staff, those who are part of this program, Ms. Hargrove, Mr. Davis, and everyone who works for the Pineywood School. Ms. Adams, where's Ms. Adams? Ms. Adams, would you all stand to your feet? Now, every faculty and staff member. Now, just by way of some announcements, we've got some food prepared for you all, and so as we leave from this place, we want to invite you to join. Yes, you can clap for the food too. We have some food prepared for you all, and so we want you to join us in our dining hall as we leave from this space. And we're just excited. Ms. Crossley wants the microphone for a moment here.
Before I start crying, I need Savannah and Taylor to please come here. Every day, I don't think goes by that I do not tell or say something to Kayla or Savannah about, you know I do that. Taylor with the A, that's what we call her, Taylor with the A. The importance of having God to be center of your life. And I know that my purpose is to serve God through this school and this institution and to provide opportunity for our students. In 1909, Lawrence C. Jones came to prepare opportunity for our people. We continue that. I am more than as proud of Taylor. Taylor has been here for 4 years. Taylor is a senior. Taylor will be going to Tuskegee University. With a scholarship. She will be majoring in veterinary science and business because she knows the power of economics. I have Savannah. Savannah is more of a quiet storm. She's kind of watching and listening. She has gotten accepted into the St. Albans School of Public Service. She will be gone for 3 weeks, understanding what public service is all about. She's a junior, preparing. She has her sights on Harvard, but we're gonna pray that Harvard up. Wherever God wants her, that's where she will be. Both of them have the blessing of patience because they know Miss Crosby sometimes, but they understand me. But they understand that everything I do is through God's service and His Word. The kids will probably tell you what I say every day to them. Good character is what? That's right. And we can do all things through who? Christ. That's right. That's what I have to thank you, everyone. You all have outdone yourself and more. And thank you, parents, for allowing us to be able to support your students and in their path. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay. Come on, Linda. So Linda Wilson comes and Wendell.
I am speechless. I felt like I was watching Glee on steroids. I think you all need to take this on the road. It is that good.
Yeah, they know it. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. I think we saw our young people alive on this stage on tonight. I'm going to ask all of our young people to stand with me as we prepare to close. Here at Piney Woods, we live life. All young people, all young people, all young people. We live life exponentially because we practice, we have, we keep, we strive for, and we are. We are. You are empowered. I wish God's empowerment upon your life. Go knowing God loves you. I love you. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening. God bless you.